This program features live coverage of an African safari and may include animal kills and carcasses. Viewer discretion is advised.
Jumbo Jumbo and hello everybody. A very warm welcome to our afternoon drive. We are in the Masai Mara of Kenya and we've got a huge herd of wildebeests and zebras waiting to cross the river. My name is David. Welcome aboard to your very own safari, live from the African bush. Jump one more time and just look what we have on the other side of the river. This is the Mara River, and as I said earlier, we are in the Masai Mara of Kenya. A very good afternoon to all of you. My name is David, and on camera with me this afternoon is Bungei. Bungei, how are you, sir? And we're coming to you live. We're just hoping that these wildebeest that you're seeing across the river are going to cross the Mara River this very warm afternoon of 28 degrees Celsius or about 83 degrees Fahrenheit. Now, we love to hear from you as we do the drive both from here in East Africa and South Africa. And your comments and questions gives us a lot of joy. And you can do that by tweeting to us, and we'll do the best we can to answer you. And you can do that using hashtag WildEarth. The young kids, you can also do the same by sending us emails, kidsquestions@wildearth.tv. Now, I've been sitting here for quite some time, and I'm just hoping all those animals you see on the other side of the river are going to cross. It may take 5 minutes from now, and they'll cross. It may take another half an hour. It all depends. What I'm going to do is just to keep my patience and see what happens.
Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to andBeyond Phinda Private Game Reserve. My name's Matt, and behind the camera we've got Craig. And this afternoon we've managed to catch up with those lions that Devot was this morning at the watering hole. And it looks like they're all feasting on the remains of a warthog. As you can see, that one looking at us quite intently now. And when I say remains, there's literally next to nothing left of this. We saw one of the moms at the back there had a hoof in her mouth now. That she's not quite willing to share. There was a youngster that was very, very much in her face, I think maybe begging for that little, what was left of the leg of that warthog, and no good, so it's gone off. It's in fact the one grooming itself now, closest to you in picture, and they've all got little bits of blood on their legs that they're all trying to clean off now. They might just go to that watering hole that they were at this morning, help digest that food. You can see all with their heads on. They've got really, really rough tongues that they groom themselves with it. Paul, you're asking how loud a roar of a lion is, especially with a full belly. Not sure if the full stomach or the empty stomach. I can imagine the empty stomach helps a little bit more when it reverberates like it does, that roar of a lion. But we can hear it from up to 8 kilometers away, which is incredible. And I'm not sure, Paul, if you've ever had a lion roar in your close vicinity, but it's a truly chilling experience. Very much a goosebump moment out here in the African bush. But you can see now even the moms are starting to groom themselves. I don't think they'll stick around here very long, although they seem to have capitalized on the cooler weather today. It has been raining on and off all day. That warthog probably came down for a drink of water and sadly for it stumbled across these lions.
Hello, and a very good afternoon this afternoon, and we have giraffes to start our afternoon game drive. I am Isaac, and on camera I have Big James. We are ready out here to share with you what we have started finding, and the first animal for the day is giraffe. Remember, this is a live broadcast coming from the Masai Mara in the Mara Triangle. Talk to us on hashtag WildEarth. Questions and comments are very, very welcome. I'm joined by my colleagues from Southern Africa, and also my colleague David somewhere in the Mara. This is a pair of a male and female giraffe. Looks like they're enjoying a little shrub there. Could be very tasty, and so they're sharing it. Yeah, this is the time when giraffes are very vulnerable, when they splay their legs like that to reach for the most lower, shoots. This is when they can be hunted by leopards or lions, especially if they're young. It's starting to come down. I hope it subsides, but it's starting to rain. Looks like it's a mating pair. And usually when they're mating, one male. Linda, thank you for your comment. You say this is gorgeous. It is absolutely beautiful. You are not wrong there. Looks like it's a mating pair. The farthest one on the other side is a male, and the one close to us is the female. Looks like she's insisting for a mating session. So usually this is what they do. They try and corner the females and urge them to submit. And you see, he's walking in front of the female trying to stop her. This is what happens. And eventually she will stand, and then it will happen. Usually very quick. Okay, they're going to cross the road. Yes, they're going to cross the road. I'm going to watch them, and if anything happens, and we're going to tell you. As it rains, we might close down.
We've also got some giraffe. There's a journey of them, at least 2 or 3 of them, including a male also, not doing anything as frisky as those in the Mara, but reaching up to its full height, being very majestic in this rather windy and cold afternoon. But you are joining me here. I'm Mike. Behind the camera we've got OD, and you joined us here at Ecotraining's Pridelands Conservancy. We're on the lookout for whatever might be around our camp, that Ecotraining camp, because it's water, it's a nice cool day, we don't want to travel too far in case it rains, and we've been very lucky because we found these giraffe. And this male giraffe is being very cool because he's reaching up at his full height. I love it when they do this. They reach taller than almost every single other animal in the world. In fact, the only animal that might reach just as tall is a big male elephant when he stretches out. Look at that tongue sticking out of its mouth. So when the tongue sticks out of its mouth, then it's definitely the tallest. See, the tongue can be almost 45 centimeters long as it reaches up to clip off the edges of this knobthorn tree. Rosalind, a giraffe's tongue is quite rough, I think. I've never actually felt a giraffe's tongue before, but when you watch it, it must be quite rough and tough in order to survive all those sharp thorns from the bushes and trees that it eats. It's also got lots of saliva to help those sharp things slide down that long neck. So I think it's probably quite rough and tough, but also very slimy. I like it when they reach up with their tongue like that. They almost looks like a hand, just gripping the branch and pulling it down. And right now they're covered in flowers that are about to start flowering. Oh, we got some zebras coming to join us as well. That's pretty awesome. All the animals, all the things. So all the knobthorns are about to flower, and it's very, very pretty. There's our zebras coming to join as well. Everything is getting very, very frisky.
I
I also got my zebras here, and not sure whether they're grazing on the very, very short grass across the river there, or they're also trying to lick some sort of mineral from where they are, as maybe they plan and prepare building the carriage to cross the Mara River. And remember, as I told you earlier, or as my colleagues have told you, that should you have any questions or comments, you're very much welcome to ask, and you can tweet to us using hashtag WildEarth. Now, currently we've got two species of animals here, of mammals. We've got the wildebeest and we got the zebras. But if you look to the right a little bit, we're going to show you another species of mammal that sometimes tags along with these animals, not for the migration, but when they come to cross the river. And those are the toppies. So we got three species of animals here, or mammals, that will want to cross the river. So toppies, zebras, and the wildebeest. It may take half an hour. It may take another 20 minutes. Apart from the zebras and the wildebeest and the toppies we have across at the other side of the riverbank, we have such huge reptiles. Now, one of the main concerns for these animals not to commit crossing the river that quickly is because of the crocodiles that you see here. These reptiles are huge and they are very dangerous. They lay ambush there, waiting for the zebras to cross the river, and they'll wait, say, for about 15, 20, 30 of them crossing, or be it the wildebeest or the toppies, and then they'll just jump onto one and catch it, drowning it in the water. Rick, I'll tell you, we have seen wildebeest come into the river, and we tend to think definitely it can see it. I'm not sure whether they can smell the crocs, but I would say they would more see it than smelling it. And at times I see a croc and a wildebeest just like 2 meters apart, 2 meters. And nobody's moving, not the croc and not the wildebeest. And then the wildebeest just says to cross. But should the croc, of course, out of reflex moves, that's when that wildebeest will jump. I would say they see the crocs more than smelling them. Oop, we've got two of them there, which could be mating. It's so very close. So just see, they're about 3 feet from the riverbank. And I'll continue waiting and see what happens next.
Welcome back, everybody, to andBeyond Phinda, where everyone, or at least these 8 lions are just resting off their full bellies. A little bit more grooming going on that you see there at the back from that youngster, and then the rest are all lying flat, apart from Mom, who was now getting pestered for a little bit of milk from one of the youngsters. In fact, the one who's come straight back. Let's see how long this lasts. And those sharp little teeth at that age can get quite irritating, so Mom might tolerate it for a while, and then she might lie flat on her tummy so that no one can get at it, but she seems to be allowing it for now. Looked like that youngster got a bit of a kick to the face now. And if you listen carefully, you might even be able to hear them begging for milk, those moans and groans that are coming from them. And that's... Laura, you're asking how big this pride is? It comprises of these two, there are 4 older lionesses. One's just out of picture, lying just next to us. She's chosen a spot very close to the vehicle. The 2 moms that you see, one's lying on the right flat, the other's lying with her back to us on the left. And the 5 youngsters here, of which 3 are female, 2 are male. 1 other lioness that's not here at the moment. And then there are 3 subadults around 15 months to 18 months old, who I think there's 2 males there and a female, and obviously their mom, and then the 2 dominant males. So it's quite a big pride, very sort of dispersed at the moment because these ones with their youngsters, have a look at them playing there on the side now in that long grass, those 2 siblings. But yeah, a little bit scattered all over the show at the moment, at least, this pride. The males haven't been seen for a while.
Still with our journey of giraffe, and they're slowly moving through this sort of shrubby area, feeding on anything green that they find. And what was very interesting is this giraffe was actually leaning down quite far to feed on stuff, whatever greenery she could find. And it's interesting because I remember one of the first times I ever told people, no, giraffes don't eat anything, from the ground. They only eat from trees. And then immediately the giraffe reached down and plucked on a tiny little shrub that was on the ground by its feet. It was very interesting. So female giraffes especially are quite often feeding quite low down. They don't try and compete. Remember we saw that male that was reaching high up into the tree branches. Females don't generally do that. They feed much lower down, especially when there's not much greenery around. They'll take whatever they can get. But we've got quite a lot of animals following these giraffes. The whole group of zebras also following them because the giraffe is so tall, and you can see it's got big eyes, and it can spot danger from far away. Tyler, you've asked why they regurgitate their food. It's not really regurgitation. It is sort of a little bit. It's actually called ruminating. And what they do is they actually have 4 stomachs, or 4 chambers in their stomach system, and they eat vegetation, then they swallow it down, and they move on and they eat more vegetation, they swallow it down, and it allows them to get as much food as possible in their belly. And then when they're in a more comfortable situation, in the shade somewhere or resting, they will use special muscles to push that food, which hasn't been chewed very well, back up into its mouth, chew it again and get more nutrients, swallow it, and do it as much times as it needs to extract as much of the nutrients as possible. And it makes them very, very efficient at digesting different types of foods, which is really, really cool. So it's a good question, Tyler. So some animals will actually regurgitate, like, let's say, wild dogs. When they're trying to feed their youngsters, they'll actually swallow food and then regurgitate it out to feed the young ones who couldn't get to the carcass or wherever it was. So it's very similar, but not quite the same. You'll actually see it. Maybe we'll see it with this giraffe now. If it puts its head up and starts chewing the cud or ruminating, and you'll see it actually push that food up in a ball, up its throat and back into its mouth. Very, very interesting to watch. Very well coordinated. Have you seen it before? Have you seen it up close before? It's very amazing. I wonder what else we're going to find. The zebras and giraffes slowly moving through the bush.
Good afternoon and welcome back to Tswalu Kalahari. It is so good to see you all. I've actually been on a week's vacation. I was in the Bahamas. It was absolutely a stunning place to be, and I wish you could all go. Anyway, I am back with you in this stunningly beautiful environment. I'm up on this, I guess it's a kind of a cliff face. If I fell off here, I'd probably end up in our clinic. But it is just beautiful being out here, and ask us any questions you want. I just want to point out to you again and remind you that this is not like a one-man show on any of our feeds, any of our colleagues as well. You've always got a cameraman behind the scenes. David is always doing an incredibly good job, and you've got this whole tech team and FC and that just put this all together. So thanks to all of them for being able to bring this where we are live to everyone out there, and thanks for the viewers for just keeping on joining us. Yeah, it's just great, and I'm glad you've been introduced to Moritz. He's doing a fantastic job by all accounts, but I'm just super excited to be back in this environment with you all, and it's just fantastic being out there. It's an incredibly windy day today. This morning there were clouds covering these mountains. Yeah, the clouds were over these mountains, and that it was cold. I went outside with a cup of coffee at like 5:30 or whatever it was, and I snuck back inside very, very quickly, because even my dog like put her nose out. She was like, nah, no, let's go inside. But anyway, here we are. We're now sitting at 27, 28 degrees out here. It's a gorgeous day, a lot of wind. The sunset today is going to be spectacular because this wind has been kicking up a lot of dust. There's a lot of smoke in there. I know there's been fires up towards the Botswana side. Kalina says it's Dylan making an entrance. Well, I hope it's a good entrance, and like I say, from my side, it is just always such a privilege to have you all with me, and I know I'm just speaking on behalf of the whole WildEarth team and all of our colleagues wherever they're working in that as well. It's a real privilege that that we're able to share these kind of unique environments with everyone. So. But anyway, I'm going to sneak down this rock face and hopefully not snap a limb or anything else. And let's see if I can actually figure out how to get down here in one piece.
Welcome back, everybody, to andBeyond Phinda, where these lions have started to suckle. The one that you see now resting very close to mom with its head up was lying on mom. Have a look. Now that their bellies are full, a little bit of milk, or got a little bit of energy. Look, they're climbing straight over mom. And with all those heads there, like we said, with those small, sharp teeth, I can imagine she can only tolerate that for so long. But obviously letting them do their thing. And if they're not doing it now, like they were earlier, that making it little squeals and moaning and groaning to suckle. If they start doing that, I'll stop talking. But it was quite interesting. Now there's a lioness lying a little bit further off to the side. She is not one of the moms of these 5 youngsters, and she got up to see if there wasn't anything left of that warthog, and the 2 moms instantly got up, came towards her. The one who came in approaching them, who's not a mom, very submissive, went straight to the ground, and the 2 sort of snapped at her and then lay back down. They've now all got a little bit of energy. This one's found mom's tail. As she flicks it, a little bit of ear twitching going on as well. Those flies starting to irritate them, but that one's now pinned mom's tail down. And if it bites down hard enough, I'm sure that mom will react to that.
No, it's gone. Okay, we had some very cool birds. You might just see them moving around in the background there. Some green wood hoopoes busy gleaning insects from these dead trees. Now, they're very awesome. It's very difficult to see them now because they're in the far back. There was one sitting on a lovely leadwood tree. But green wood hoopoes, a dark bird with a long tail and a very, very orange beak. There's a whole bunch of them actually around here. Now it's very difficult. Yeah, there's one there. You can just see it in the background. Oh, that's actually a hornbill. I swear there was a green wood hoopoe. I'm not lying. But they're all feeding. So this is a bird party. So we've got wood hoopoes and hornbills and all sorts of stuff. You can see it's very dry here. Not much vegetation. But because of the tiny bit of rain we've had, there's probably a little bit of insect activity up close here, up close to the bark and at the base of these trees and bushes. That's what these birds are after. So you can just see them hopping around there. Owen's doing a very, very good job and trying to follow them through the thickets here. So you can see them there. Now, what's amazing about these birds, one of the very, very awesome things about them, is that they are family-oriented birds. Jennifer, they are very beautiful birds. Very beautiful and very interesting to watch because they are a family, so there'll be an alpha pair, and then a lot of the offspring from previous seasons will be helping them to raise the new chicks. So they give up one season of mating opportunities in order to learn how to raise youngsters, and that's very, very clever. There's one just over there. I don't know if you can see it through the viewfinder. It'll be a bit tricky. Oh, there it is. And what other thing that they have is that these birds are fiercely territorial, and what they'll do is when they see other green wood hoopoes or predators that they don't want, they'll mob them and try and chase them away. And they can actually spray this very foul-smelling liquid. In fact, they often do so in our camp. We've got mirrors by our bathroom, and they see their own reflections, and they get really riled up by it, and they actually start squirting this like really horrible fluid all over these mirrors. It smells terrible, and we have to clean it all the time, which is a disaster. So we've started actually putting a little curtain up in front of our mirrors to stop them from doing that. But this one here seems like it's found something. Do you see how intently it's dealing with that? Oh, it's caught something. It just swallowed a little bug. So there might be a wood-boring insect that has laid eggs all around there, and the bird ate one of the larvae, I think. That was pretty awesome. So they've all moved off now. It's very difficult to spot anymore. I can't even see them now. They're all behind the bushes, but they're close together. And another name for this bird in Zulu is the Shlega Bafazi, which just means the laughing women because of the amazing call they make.
Welcome back, everybody, to andBeyond Phinda. Little has changed here. Mom did decide that enough was enough with the tail, although that it is back in the clutches of that paw in the background that you see. She actually sat up and tried to stop that game, but it seemed to have not deterred that youngster at the back there playing with the tail. Mom's not up. I don't know how long she'll carry on there for. She might get up. And just speaking of bird, there she gets up. Maybe like the youngsters, maybe not just yet, the youngsters having a bit of a suckle, helping digest that meal that they had a little bit earlier. The moms will have to go back down to the water to do the same thing. But like I was saying, just speaking about bird parties now, it's still quite a miserable, overcast day. We're not hearing very many bird calls. You can imagine it takes those birds quite a bit of energy to get all chirpy late afternoon. And in colder weather, a little bit too much energy. So maybe later, just before it gets dark, we might start hearing them a bit more than what we are now. Just heard the faint calls of a gorgeous bushrock behind us. But otherwise, it's still quite quiet in terms of bird calls. Have a look at that youngster licking his face now. Rather happy that he's had a little bit of a suckle. And you can see it's got, so of these youngsters, there are 2 young males and then 3 females. And just looking now, as he walks away, that is one of the little males. And he had already 5-6 months old, slightly thicker fur around his neck. Obviously signs of things to come for him as it gets older. In a couple of years' time, we'll have that big, dark, black mane.
Welcome back, and I'm grateful and thankful that the rain has subsided. As you can tell by our elephant there, she is very, very wet, but the calf is not as wet. You know what has been happening? The little guy has been trying to take cover underneath mom, but mom hasn't been so, agreeing to that. It's like she's telling her, you have to be elephant. Elephant have to live outside all their lives, so I'm not going to give you cover. I don't know if we'll see that interaction again, but it did happen. There is quite a good number of females all scattered everywhere, and right now they're loving the grass. It is nice and soft because of the rain, and they're taking it in. They're taking it in with water, so it's just what every elephant would love. Elephants here in the Mara are very relaxed. They haven't been hunted. They haven't been hunted for over 70 years, so they're used, to vehicles as long as you keep your distance. The little guy, is he taking cover again? He's putting his head inside the mom and leaving the backside outside. But this is what he's been doing. Look at that. He's so small. He's been wanting to go under, but mom. Is it Matt? You asked about elephant trunk. Please, could you rephrase the question again? Yes, definitely, of course. The only difference, I think, it's the heavier or the softer it is. Very much like us, females and males. Males can have a more heavier voice. Very much the same with elephants. It will sound much louder. It will sound much heavier, but they do have the same sounds. And it can be heard quite a long way, up to around 1 kilometer, when it's really angry, and it's got so many different, calls, or trumpets, trumpeting sounds that it can make. Yeah, I'm still very interested in this little guy of what mom is thinking. It looks like he's scratching his head. He really wants to go under. Yes, he's managed now, but mom isn't giving into that for very long. You can see that. He's like, no, you have to stay outside. But the little guy isn't loving the rain. Yeah, remember, it's not usual to have rains this time of the year, but we are having this normal that we have to get used to, where we're getting these localized rains every now and then. Of course, it's very much welcome to keep everything lush. And as you can see, the elephant is already very, very wet. For them, they have nothing else to do. Yeah, yes, they have nothing else to do but to sit there and hope the rain, subsides. Yeah, the little guy is really cute. Thank you for your comments. And I would say she's less than 1 year. It's very hard for me to sex it when it's this young. It could be a male or a female, but he really wants to go under mom. Shelley, thank you for your beautiful comment. They're just majestic animals. Yeah, sure they are. There's something about elephants that make them, that makes them really majestic. And here they are at peace. They are doing very well. We're seeing lots and lots of young ones. So it's a really, really good news. That looks like a really old female. We sometimes can tell by looking. Yeah.
Welcome back, everybody. andBeyond Phinda. where very little has changed. Exact same youngsters are still suckling from mum. The rest are all sort of semi-conscious, in and out of sleep and food comas this afternoon. And just listening out, we heard earlier a couple of branches snapping. And on our way here, we saw tracks of a couple of elephant bulls. And you can imagine the scenes here, how quickly they'd change if one of those elephant bulls were to come up here. Got a really acute sense of smell, elephants. So if they were to smell them, if they were around here, that made me come and investigate and disturb the peace here. And that would be quite a spectacle to watch, but that's just with a little bit of a wild imagination. I don't think that will happen this afternoon. Those were very faint branch snaps that we heard earlier.
This is the largest birds party I have seen in a very long time, because we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 almost different species of birds, and the place they are, there's no water at any one point there, but they got a lot they are feeding on, and I'm trying to wonder what is this they could be feeding on. We had some rains here about half an hour ago, and I'm imagining they must have found out that there's a lot to feed on here. Now, most of these birds, you'll always find them near water. The ones with the black beaks are the sacred ibis. The white ones are the cattle egrets. We have some herons here, grey herons, most likely also black herons, black-headed herons. And what they could be feeding on, I mean, of course, basically it must be some kind of some sort of worms they're feeding on, or some sort of invertebrates they're feeding on. And this is a huge party that has brought all these birds together. Cherine, I agree with you. Birds of a feather flock together, and they have a reason to be flocking together here. Now, but look at the black ones there, which I'd guess it could be the black-headed heron. And what's happening here, if you look at the heron, it doesn't seem bothered to be eating, and what it's doing is very patient. As much as now, she has gone down, tried to pick something, but herons, when they eat, they're always very, very slow. I mean, I'm sure there's something they can eat there, but they have to be sure. I'm not sure why they do not eat as fast or as quickly as the others, but they're very, very slow eaters. And ladies and gentlemen, remember, as I told you earlier, we're coming to you live. And should you have any comments, please send them through, or questions, and you can tweet using hashtag WildEarth. Just wait a little bit and see what they'll be holding in their beaks and know exactly what they're eating.
So what we're seeing here is a lack of animals in this frame. It's not because there are no animals here. There are lots of animals here. But that's not what I want to talk about now. I actually want to talk about these gorgeous grasslands that you're seeing behind me here. And not just the living ones that you can see behind me, but also the dead clumps in front of me here. Grasslands in South Africa, in fact globally, constitute a vast, vast, vast proportion of natural vegetation. In South Africa, they are one of the most biologically diverse ecosystems in the country, aside from what we call the Fynbos, which is that little strip along the Southern Cape Coast up in the mountains there. That area has the highest percentage of biodiversity of any biome in South Africa. Grasslands are very, very hot on its heels. The catch with grasslands is these areas are slowly shrinking and shrinking and shrinking, and there's a ton of factors that come into play there. It can be keeping fires out. Now, I know we're all very sensitive about fires. If you look at what's happened in California, what happened in Australia recently, we've had massive fires in the Amazon. There are things, there's big shifts taking place. So the tendency globally is like, whoa, don't touch fires, keep them out. They fires are bad. It's actually not the case. Too frequent fires are bad, but also fires that are excluded from systems. When they do take hold, they are absolutely ravishing for environments, so they can be as bad. The challenge that we face in conservation areas these days is, well, how do you manage for fires and wildlife at the same time, especially in these closed systems where you've got big fences around many of your natural areas. If you take an area like Tswalu, for instance, this Kalahari region that went over, the southern Kalahari, there are major river systems fairly close by. You've got the Vaal River in that direction, the Orange River down in that direction, and historically these massive herds of game, and I'm talking about hundreds of thousands to millions of head of game, would have actually migrated in the dry season down to the rivers and then back during the rain, similar to what our colleagues are seeing in the Mara. You get this massive shift of wildebeest and zebra following the rains. That would have been happening here as well. Those systems are a thing of the past, unfortunately. So how do we manage these ecosystems now when you've got a fence around them? And predators are one of the big driving forces in that. Yeah, Megan's saying grasses and the way they impact on the environment is fascinating. And you're absolutely right. I mean, what we're seeing is like the base layer, but our traditional way of thinking of grasslands, everything depends on these. It's actually almost the other way around. That tiny little group of predators sitting right at the top over there, they're the ones that actually keep grasslands in a healthy system. Anyway, so I'm not making any, I'm not giving any opinions here. I'm just putting it out there saying, we've really got to look at very, very carefully, particularly in closed systems, how do you manage those? And it's not as simple as it seems at first glance.
Welcome back, guys. And the mother and her calf are moved closer to us. Looks like she's really interested in eating a specific type of grass, which is wire grass, which is high in fiber and also highly nutritious. And that's what she's eating. You see, she's piling it in the mouth and then pushing it in once so that she can have good enough to chew on inside the mouth. And the little guy is still trying to take refuge underneath the mother, take cover underneath its mother. It's a very young one. I thought it was almost less than a year, but this one is only a few months old. I would give it maybe 2 months old. It's really, really young. Already it's lost its tail. Could have been, I don't know, maybe hyenas, maybe. That's quite very unusual to have it, this young and to have lost its tail. Yeah, definitely, that could be hyenas or lions. Sometimes they try and outmaneuver their mother when they're separated from the others, because over here sometimes they graze, far apart. They could attack the mother and try to take it quickly, and I think that's when it happened. Yeah, very cute little guy. You can tell he's not feeding. He's just very dependent on the milk right now. Crystal, you ask how big elephant tusks will grow. They can grow to be very, very big. The longest one ever recorded were about, I think it was 9 feet. That's about 3 meters. They were the longest, and they weighed almost around 40 kilograms, about 80 pounds. So they were quite long and also quite heavy. There comes a topi. It's very lost because it's all by itself, but they do get separated during hunts. Surprisingly, it looks like the mother, or this female to the left here, has got also a short tail, but I doubt if it's a genetic thing. It would be very unusual to have it a family with short tails, but it's rather interesting. I wish I could get close and have a look if it's been chopped off or it's been born like that, but it's hard to tell from this distance. But I would say I would go more of them being cut off by a predator. It is beautiful. The temperatures have dropped from what we had earlier on, 28 during the day, and now I think it's just heading towards 20. And the elephants love this kind of temperature because they can stay out longer. You see, down there we have the little forests. Those are riverines or streams, and they are very essential in keeping, the woodland for the predators and other animals that hide there, like bushbuck, bush pigs, leopards. Yeah, so this is the kind of habitat you're looking back there. The trees immediately behind the elephant are desert dates, very common here in the Masai Mara, also in other parts of the country. Yes, these are beautiful herd. I've had a very good time with them, and sooner or later I'm gonna be driving on to see if I can find a cat for you guys. Yeah, I wish you could face me, elephant, so I could see your tusks. Yeah, look at the tusks. Yeah, turn around. I need to see your tusks.
A herd of elephants here, not wanting to drink, but they're not very far from this little swamp of water here. But also I'm looking at their tusks and you see how white they are or how clean they are. Not clean in that sense, but it's because of the rains we have been having here in the Masai Mara. Now if you look carefully, there's some small little white bats next to them or close to them, and those are the cattle egrets. And close to a screen, there's a lapwing there, blends in very well in the ground, and I'm guessing this is the spur-winged lapwing. Just like the other birds we were watching earlier, they tend to remain very close to water, nesting, and that's where they also raise their chicks, but above all, for feeding. Small little calf in this herd. I'm trying to see if she may come out. She's just hiding in the midst of these cows here. And what a great sighting to see these greyish-looking ellies, just because of the rains that we've been having and the bush in the background there. See how they blend in, but that's being broken by the white cattle egret and the tusks of these cows here. I'm just guessing most of them are cows, because this could be, females that are all related and they're youngsters. They must be having some sweet grass they're eating there. You'll notice they're avoiding the long, dry grass and just eating the green one. And certainly they'll come and have a drink. Okay. And remember, as we told you earlier, should you have any questions or comments, please send them through, because we're coming to you live, from a few locations in Africa. Currently, we're in the Masai Mara of Kenya, and we are going to answer you in real time. Now, I want to pose a question for you about those elephants. I'm sure you may know, how do you think would determine the matriarch of an elephant herd? What do you think would be looking for to know who is leading a herd like the one you are seeing there? What are give me any one or two factors for us to know that is the matriarch or is the leader of a herd of elephants. Tweet #WildEarth, and maybe you'll see whether you know your elephants, because I'm sure you've been following us. How do you tell who is the leader? We all know elephants are very matriarchal. We'll always have one female that is in charge. Trisha, you're saying it's the largest one. That's a good answer, and I'll give you some pretty good points. I won't tell you how many points I'll give you, but not 100% per se, because sometimes you might see a cow small in size, but it is the leader. But that's not a bad answer, because most of them must be big so that they can be able not to bully other herds if they come, they meet other herds, or if they come, they meet males which may want to mate the females when they're in estrus. The female must be big and in charge. Now, as the boys or the young bulls grow and the female want them out of the herd, of course, the female must be big and must be intimidating, like telling the boys, it's time you leave the herd and go join other boys. Michelle, very well done, Michelle, and I'll give you 100%. And you're saying the oldest one. Excellent, Michelle. Yes, in general, you'll get the matriarch in elephant herds is the oldest one, because she has seen it all, she has done it all, she has seen so many traumas that they go through when they are drought, when they are facing challenges of predators. So they're very experienced. So Michelle, I would agree with you 100%. It's always the oldest cow in the herd. Trying to imagine if they'd come and have a drink here, we'd have a wonderful picture here. They'll take the time before they come to drink. Not sure that calf wants to play with those egrets. And what those egrets will do, as these ellies move, or even this small little calf here, and they disturb the grass, they keep catching the insects that are jumping up. Excellent. Ellies, well done. Any day or any drive I see elephants is a good drive.
So I'm super excited about what we're seeing over here. Remember, I've been saying for the past, how many weeks? Probably like 6-7 weeks. I've been getting all excited about the blossoms that are on the verge of coming out. Well, they are finally coming out. What we're seeing is a individual bush out of a lot that has got flowers on. So they're gonna, this is like the early starting points, but they're gonna start coming out super fast. And there's going to be lots of them over the coming weeks. So this entire reserve is going to be covered in these cream blossoms. Some of them are almost white, but spectacularly beautiful. And really what I wanted to show you today, and unfortunately the wind is just a little bit too gusty. It's gusting. It's disgusting. No, that was a really weak one. But you're going to see all the insects starting to come out onto these acacias, because they've got a lot of nectar. There's a lot of pollen on them, so there's going to be tons and tons of insects and butterflies coming out soon. But you obviously need conditions that are not quite as windy as what we're experiencing today. But nonetheless, I mean, look how beautiful this is with the cream and the scarlet. Sophie says they look like raspberries. Absolutely, they actually really do. But I can tell you, if you try and nibble these raspberries off this bush, your lips are going to bleed. This is a blackthorn acacia, and they've got really sharp hooked thorns. So animals tend to browse them very delicately around the outside. But anyway, for those of you who have joined us for the show for the first hour, it's been wonderful having you with us. We're going to carry on with our safari, so please feel very, very welcome to stick with us if you want to. Otherwise, we will see you again at the same time tomorrow. And we're just going to carry on having an amazing time out here.
Welcome back, everybody, to andBeyond Phinda, where Murphy's Law, they've just stopped, but there were a whole lot of green wood hoopers calling. Now, it almost looked like two different families of green wood hoopers calling at one another and calling. And it was almost like these youngsters, the little lions, were watching a tennis match. They'd look at one spot, one family when they were calling, and then look to the other across. It was actually quite amusing to see. We'll sit patiently and listen now and see if they don't start up again. But such a pretty bird, that green wood hoopoe. Hopefully I can find it for you here. I'll show you in the book quickly here at the top of the page there is the green wood hoopoo, that really, really long red bill, black and white on its wings, and you can actually hear them calling now in the background if I keep quiet. There you can hear them. And in the local language, in Zulu, they are called Hlegabafazis, which means cackling woman, which is quite a funny name. But when you listen to them going like that, you can see why they get that name. And have a look at those two youngsters at the back now, just having a look out for those birds. And yeah, Mike in Pridelands was telling us about the birds earlier. I can't see them, can only hear them for now, providing a little bit of entertainment for these youngsters this afternoon, who were all lying fast asleep until they started up. And there they go quiet again. And that's it. Show's over with the lions all fast asleep. Oh, spoke too soon. Such a cute little face there at the back. But there's just lion body strewn out all over the show here. And that little youngster, who I think is one of the young males, he peeked over for a few seconds before flopping over himself. Again, you can hear those green wood hoopoes calling in the background. Like I was saying earlier, not very many birds calling, but they haven't stopped for about the last 10-15 minutes, just going on and on.
Well, lots of birds making noise here. We got lots of birds just flying up and down and enjoying the breeze and the big drop of temperatures now. And unlike the elephants that we just saw, look at these buffaloes here, or what we call the African Cape buffaloes. They're not grazing or eating per se. They're all quiet, all resting, because there's one huge difference between buffaloes and elephants. Buffaloes are ruminants, and they'll always be chewing cud. They always have that advantage over non-ruminants, that whatever they had been eating earlier in the day, it's time to rest, regurgitate, and maybe rechew it even better. But apparently, just like the elephants, we saw all these white egrets with them, they also got the egrets, the white butts. And the only difference sometimes is you'll get many times these egrets will want to get rides on these buffaloes, unlike being on the ground, as much as also on the elephant, you'll see them on top of their backs. To me, they climb more backs of the buffaloes than the elephants. They must have chosen a very good area with this tall elephant grass, and I think early in the day, just to keep cool. Because once they lie down, they definitely got some good cover. You can see some nice wind picking up now. Where Isaac was earlier, we had some big rains. Some swifts flying up there in the air. These swifts will always catch food as they fly. It's a small little calf there running over buffalo. And definitely following the mother. Anytime temperatures go down, things start to happen, and these buffaloes at one point, as it cools off, they also rise and, of course, start eating more. Among them, if you look there, we got like 3 or 4 together. Among them, they got small little democracies or small little families, and they'll always stay together until the time will come for them to move, and there'll be a general decision, which direction they take, and that's where everybody else will follow. And more often than not, the females always pull the shots. If you come to the speed of these animals running, I hope that was the question from Emily, between buffaloes and wildebeest, the wildebeest are much faster than the buffaloes. So many cattle egrets here. And we call them cattle egrets because from the villages where we come from, we always see them also tagging along with the cows. And I do not know why they did not call them the buffalo egrets, but the cattle egrets. Sometimes when you look at the nomenclature of the wildlife here, it's always interesting to know who named who. A bigger number than we saw with the elephants here. So many of them. Beautiful Ololo escarpment in the background there. I'm sure some of you have seen it before. And for anybody who might have seen the movie Out of Africa, it featured very prominently. And when we talk of the Maasai Mara, we have the main Mara and the Mara Triangle. The Mara Triangle having that escarpment there, the boundary between Kenya and Tanzania on one side and the Mara River on the other side. And as I said, once it starts to cool off, these animals will rise and shine and start moving. Spitting a bit where we are, but not as bad. Look at that one. Some of the most dangerous animals we got in Africa. For me, if I think which animals I would want to take a chance with, I've always said buffaloes and hippos. I do not even want to meet either of them. And hippos to me are number 1 and followed by the buffaloes. My grandfather used to tell me it's very easy to walk through a huge herd of buffaloes like this and come out safe, but not meeting 1 or 2 buffaloes. Because when you get 1 or 2, they could be bulls and they could be very dangerous. Well, the buffaloes are moving away and I'm also doing the same.
Well, welcome back to the other side of the Mara, and I'm here at Romi's territory, hoping I can find her. This is where we last saw her hunting, and we didn't know if she got something or not. There is a lot of food for her. Look at her prime estate, so beautiful. You know, these are where the grazers are, and the forest behind is where she could be hiding, or where, you know, she would stay after having a good meal. Yes, and hopefully we will be able to, you know, find her. If not, I'm sure we will find something else, because this is a beautiful area. I'm hoping, you know, either to come across, you know, along a leopard or some lions, elephants, buffalo. Look at that. All these are Wombogia ugadensis trees. These are softwood trees. They grow to be almost 60 feet tall, and they produce. Elodie, thank you for your comment. It's so green. It is green. This is very close to a marshy area, so I think that's why it's still green. I was talking about the trees. They're called Kenyan green hearts. They're very pepperish, very good for you know, making a toothbrush. They also produce little fruits that are very bittersweet. Elephants and baboons love them. They love them. When they are fruiting, you always find the elephants shaking them and the baboons coming after the elephants have left. You know, apart from that, it doesn't have any other use, because it is a softwood. Once it, you know, dries up, usually it rots, disintegrates, and disappears. Well, I'm going to continue on. Hopefully I can find something for you further up, because in my view right now, I have nothing much. But for sure, I'm sure, you know, I'll come across something, because this is an area definitely that is favored by cats and other animals. Preferably, it's not, you know, preferred by many animals because of the thickets. Cats can hide in here, so they'll avoid it, and that's why it's still very green. But once they wear out the grasses way out there, they'll come here to utilize this lush green grass. Did I see something there? I don't know. No, sorry. False alarm. It's a little bush, brown bush. Usually sometimes we do see those green bushes, you know, brown bushes, and we think it's something. We are humans also, we do make mistakes. Yeah. I have waterbacks here, which I would like to share with you, and some impala. These are some foods that, you know, the lions and leopards would eat, and also they're in a very good area where you know, they could easily be hunted. The waterbuck is slightly bigger than a leopard would go for, but a young waterbuck they would go for. Yeah, that is the male waterbuck, Defasa. They love water, hence they're called Defasa waterbuck. Those two are males. Males have got these beautiful long horns. Females lack that, and it looks like these are two buddies sticking together. Remember, they can be together, but once there is a female, then they would fight to mate with the female. That's where, you know, they make the part ways. To the left there is impala, with the horns are males, and to the right is a lone female. So it's a mixed breeding herd. Yeah, beautiful scenery here where I am. Yeah, is there another female waterbuck? Oh yes, it is a female. It's interesting, you know, two males and one female. Oh, it's a young male. It's a young buck. You can tell it's got short, pointy horns, which will grow to be, you know, as big as the other ones on the right. Yeah, I'm going to take my binoculars and take a look behind there, see if there's anything. Yes, looks like I'm going to continue on. Hopefully I'll find something for you further up. But when we get closer to the waterbuck, I'll share them with you.
I'll be very quick on this one, but what I wanted to show you here, we've spoken about them before, this gorgeous little plant in the middle here with these very broad leaves. That is mistletoe. It's one species. We have two species that occur on Tswalu, and typically they grow on these blackthorns. This is the same species of bush that I showed you just now with all those gorgeous blossoms. And happy spring day, by the way. David actually reminded me. He wasn't wishing me happy spring day. He was just putting it out there that it is spring day. So happy spring day. But that's a mistletoe. But let me show you the other species, and I'll actually show you how it spreads. And this is so cool. So this little one, that one is called Tapinanthus olifolius. This stunning little guy over here is called Viscum. Viscum rotundifolium. Sorry, the wind is blowing, so it's just David. It's not David shaking, it's just the gods conspire against us here. Anyway, rotundifolia, because the little round leaves, rotundifolia. And then you've got these gorgeous little orange berries. Can you see that? Yeah. Tiny little orange berries. They are very, very sweet. David's actually trying to make beer out of this during COVID. I don't agree with it. I'm just saying. David, stop it. But what's interesting, okay, now you see that I've just eaten? Look how it sticks on my finger. Look at that. It almost looks like a tomato seed, but very sticky. And this is where it gets really cool. If you have a look on this little branch over here, and it's quite tough. You see that tiny little green thing there? So when you got it, David? Yeah. Sorry, the wind is blowing like a screaming banshee out here. But that little green thing is actually the seed, like that one that I've just eaten. Okay, minus the... So a bird will eat that seed, or eat the fruit, get the pulp off it, and the skin, and then it'll clean its beak off on a branch. It sticks there, and then that little seed actually starts germinating. I'm licking my lips here. That was really good. It starts germinating on the host plant. So if it's very, very lucky, it gets on the ideal host plant like this species. It'll start photosynthesizing there, but in the meantime, that little guy's put these little hostoria, these essentially roots, down into the host plant, into the cambium layer, and it actually starts extracting minerals and water from the host plant. And then they start growing and they start expanding and getting bigger. And actually all over these branches over here, you can see, in fact, I'm going to bring this one close to you. This is a dead branch. This one will never grow, so don't worry. Thorns. There you can see very clearly. See that? So this is dead. So this one is not going to. In fact, if I turn it over, this is crazy. Okay, sorry. You see this little thing over there? That tiny little thing? That is a very, very, very old seed. That's actually that little curved piece going down is the roots of the mistletoe. Actually, was trying to grow into the host plant. Unfortunately, that seed was deposited on a dead branch, so that seed would have just used all of its energy, tried to get that root in, shriveled up, and died eventually. But it just shows what's going on in the canopy when you drive past the tree. Like I say, there's a tree, but the ecology surrounding one clump like this, there are multiple species. There's a honey thorn, there's a raisin bush, there's all sorts of things growing inside here. Rainer Lamb says it's incredible. This is beyond incredible. I mean, what we're seeing is, like, I've said it before, with the African wildcat that was hunting. Those of you who are skeptics, that cat was actively hunting. I know it looked like a rock, but it really was. And I said it with that wildcat, what we're seeing on every single little feature on these plants and their adaptations is a culmination of millions and millions and millions of years of evolution coming to this point that enables them to survive in these incredibly harsh environments. And I think that is just so remarkable on so many different levels.
Welcome back to the Mara, and we've got something else, something different. I have the Buffalo Eagle. This is a bird of prey. I call it the master of the sky. One day I'll be able to share, why I call it that, because when it flies, it doesn't fly very high, and it can soar for hours. Some books say they have seen it soaring for over 2 hours without flapping. I've seen it, soar for a long time. not that 2 hours. These two are, the one to the left is almost sub-adult. The one to the right is a really young one. I think already they have paired. They take about 7 to 8 years to fully mature, and it's very hard to differentiate between male and female. When they're young, he's taken off, she's taken off to a higher branch to the right, and they live for a very long time, over 30 years, and they nest very much like eagles lay 2 eggs. Usually, sometimes, one succeeds. It was once called the short-tailed eagle, snake eagle, because they feed on snakes. It's one of the things in their diet. They have amazing eyesight. They are able to pinpoint Chrissy, you ask if all birds live in big groups. No, they don't. Yeah, there are those ones that pair, there are those ones that are single, there are those ones that live in flocks. So they don't live in pair, in big flocks. Not all of them live in flocks. Yes, and so these guys feed on mice, snakes, grasshoppers, termites, fish. They even sometimes scavenge from old carcasses, eating the maggots from those carcasses. And they have these amazing binocular vision. While flying about 600 feet in the air, they can pinpoint a mouse or a snake, walking in the grass, and they dive down with a very strong talons and very scaly legs that avoids them being bitten, with very few veins. So if a snake bites, it doesn't go through easily. They can grab it and fly with it towards where they can eat it at leisure. Right now, it's really slightly cold and the light is not as good, so I think they are resting. They could be making a nest maybe somewhere here in the months to come, and then we'll be seeing them for many more years. Yeah, it's a pity we can't see really close and the light is not as good. They have these bright yellow beaks and red, and when they fly, the primaries and secondaries are, 2 colors, black and white. Yeah, looks like I'm gonna continue on because it doesn't look like they're gonna fly. The one to the left would have had a few colors.
There goes my call.
Yeah.
Wow. Wow.
You'll join myself and Brendan as a third. I'm going to take the voicing. Copy.
Can you see the monkeys and the hornbill? I think they're trumpets. Welcome back to andBeyond Phinda, everybody, where we're still just sitting patiently at this watering hole, watching a couple of birds come and go. You see as those white-breasted cormorants take to the skies, a couple of grey heron in the water, busy looking for their next meal as well. On the water's edge there's that greater flamingo who's still around. The commotion of the elephants has stopped for now as well behind this watering hole. I don't know if you saw earlier, but there was quite a bit of dust coming up from behind those dead trees. But as we zoom in, the flamingo also head in the water waiting for its next meal. I'm really hoping that those elephants make an appearance, because that dust that was coming out from all of that commotion wasn't too far from this watering hole, although like I said earlier, it looked like they had already come and gone from the watering hole. It might have just been an elephant bull that had caught up, maybe disturbing the peace, or families coming together. If there's a baby or a really young elephant, the matriarchs or moms are super protective, so it might have been a little bit of that, but everything's just gone very peaceful again now. And I'm just hoping that they come out of these woodlands behind the watering hole and show themselves, because I think the area that they're in is just exactly that, super thick, and not very many roads that go in there. I also just keep scanning the treetops every so often with my binoculars to see if I can't see their backs at all, but no such luck. The far side there, just left of the flamingo, is a grey heron as well as a couple of white-breasted cormorants. Then further left, all sort of half wading in the water, some African spoonbills. And yellow-billed storks, a couple perched in the trees as well. A couple of hippos now starting to get a little bit more active. You might see them opening their mouths, moving around a little bit more in the water as well. They will only emerge after dark and head out to the grasslands to eat before they come back in the early hours of the morning back to their home, or this watering hole in front of us. But a little bit more chirpy in terms of bird calls, and that's what we were at earlier with those lions that you saw. I'm going to ask Craig, I've just seen now 2 trumpets or hornbills off to the left-hand side. I would show you with the book, but even better, show you Craig's on it. I'm going to show you 2. I don't know if you can hear that, but that's more trumpeting going on in the background from those elephants. Top left of your screen are those 2 trumpet or hornbills, which is also a really nice one to add to the list. Those of you who are watching from home and who have lists. Very noisy birds, those trumpet or hornbills, with those big casques on the top of their heads. But there you can see, as that one turns to the left-hand side, the profile of its bill, with that very big casque. Just sitting quietly now, listening to hear if I can't hear any more of those trumpets or low rumbles from those elephants who seem to be slowly but surely moving further right. And I can only tell that because that's where the sounds are now coming from, further off to the right. And I wonder if that's why these hippo, who are usually on the far side, on the banks, early hours of the afternoon, left of those birds, if those elephants went and drank there, they might have encouraged them to move a little bit further away.
Welcome back. I'm in a different spot where it is just the plains, as you can see over here, but we have very different habitats from my plains. You can see that I have impala, a big herd of impala. I would call it a harem. There must be a male when you see these many females. Of course, this is one of the, leopards' favorite food, and they are in a very good area because there is lots of cover. So these are the area where I would expect to see the spotted one, but what can I say? I cannot tell exactly where it is. It looks like it's a good number of females. I don't see the male anywhere. Sometimes he stays in the periphery, making sure that intruders are not welcome. There he is. Yeah, he's good doing his rounds. He does do that, surrounding and pushing the females towards the middle, so he can, take total control and nobody comes in to take them. Well, his tenure is usually not very long, lasts about 10 to 14 days, and usually what happens is right now while he's with all the females, males are somewhere feeding, sparring, play fighting, and making sure they're strong. So eventually they will come and challenge him, and once challenged, usually the fights are quite vicious. They can be lethal. Look at the forest there. This is what we have. I have buffalo a long ways there. That is the riverine forest of the Mara River, and these are the open savanna just adjacent to the forest. Look at the beautiful scene we have here. Yeah, this is where the river follows the forest there. It's very easy to know where the forest is when you're in the Mara, because those huge trees always grow very close to water. I have some elephants a long ways away, and the rare beige Land Cruiser there. And I have the mighty Olololo escarpment with all the trees. Look at that. The sky is beautiful, as you can see. Yeah, just after the rains, the clouds have cleared. We still have a few clouds, but it's still very, very beautiful. That is the scenery I'm looking from where I am, and it's all gorgeous. That area there, we call it Out of Africa site. It's got a history, it's got a story behind it. If you've seen the movie Out of Africa, that is just above that and to the right. That is where Robert Redford's grave is, where the lion walks on top of the grave. That is very close to that area. It's called Out of Africa site. Yeah, I'm sure that guy doesn't know that he's in the frame. Megan, thank you for your comment. You say it's stunning. It is indeed. It is gorgeous. It is stunning. Yeah, these are the views that we have all over the Mara. Look at the cloud colors. That's amazing, to see that yellow, almost pink, purple, gray. Yeah, right now it's a good time, to be out on a game drive if you're here, because it's nice and cool and all the predators are coming out. Yeah, it is such a beautiful evening. I am hoping to find something, along these plains, because I'm following the forest. Hopefully there will be something.
We were just showing those other mistletoes with those tiny, tiny, tiny little orange berries, but I found the creme de la creme of mistletoes. So this is the Tapenanthus that we've been seeing a lot, but it's the first time we've actually seen the berries that are so prominent and gorgeously colored. And one reason why you don't find them that frequent, they're common, obviously. That's why you get so many mistletoes on. When they get to this stage, they are super palatable, super delicious, and the birds just snaffle them as fast as they can get them. But because David is such a good guy and he's such a good cameraman, I'm not going to eat all three. We'll leave one for the birds David, my hands are clean, I promise. Yeah, no, trust me. But I want to get that nice one over there. And then I'm going to give David one and I'm going to eat one. There we go. And we can get... cheers, man. And they're actually very, very, very sweet. And it's one reason why so many animals go for them. Birds absolutely... David, what do you think? They're not the nicest. But anyway, but again,
yeah, well, welcome back. Haven't gone very far, so I'm gonna look for something down this way. Remember, we had some rain, and so it's very bumpy, and the soils here don't help very much because they're clay soil or loam soil, and when it rains they become very sticky. You keep sliding. I call it dancing. You have to be very careful you don't slide and then drive onto a hole and get stuck. So I have to be very careful. Drive, look, and talk at the same time. It's part of what guides, learn to do with the least effort. I'm expecting to find something along here. Can be anything. But already it's just beautiful to be out here. Peggy, thank you for your question. You asked how many millimeters of rain we get in spring. Just to correct you to start with is we don't get those seasons here. We don't get summer, spring, winter like you do. We get only 2 seasons. We have wet and dry. The wet season is in April, March, April and May, June. That is the wet season. And then the dry season should be from now onwards. But every now and then we're getting rain, which is unusual, but it's very much welcome. But when we get the long rains, we do get about 200 inches of rain a year. That is what we get on a good year. Yeah, this is a very beautiful area, lots of trees, kind of place where you would find a rhino or an elephant come out. I can actually smell elephant dung, so they have been here. I'm continuing on down the road. Hopefully I can find something for you.
It's been a gorgeous afternoon. There's a ton of dust around, but I must say, David was a trooper for taking my word for eating that thing. But actually, our jokes aside, it is not toxic apart from being a potent laxative. You okay there, David? Yeah. No, but they're actually totally harmless. I'm just winding up, and they don't taste that bad, but it's like having glue in your mouth. Not that I've had that. I'm not into eating glue and that kind of stuff. I'm just saying, theoretically, it would be like having glue in your mouth. But they are super palatable, and the birds love them, baboons love them, a lot of things go for them. And that stickiness enables them to get onto these branches and just, without detaching with any wind in that. I'm very, very excited now. We are super close to our rainy, well, I'll hold thumbs, super close to our rain season. But you know, we're at the right time of year for it. There's lion tracks in the road, lots of lions up and down here, but very windblown. But the thunderstorms, when we're on drives in the next couple of weeks, even maybe month and a half, you're going to see some of the thunderstorms out here that are unbelievable displays of nature at its absolute finest. So I've been hearing the other guys having some thunder and lightning up where they are. This Kalahari, there's a koran, look here. There's a red-crested koran. It's a red-crested koran. Look how stunningly camouflaged that bird is. Oh my word. And yeah, it's nice to see them relaxed like this and actually feeding. Okay, the wind's blowing him around a little bit, so he's getting a bit like windswept there. But you notice he's actually, you see, going head down, going feeding every now and again. And one of the crucial things that we're seeing here, again, grassland, and you start getting birds like this. They're heavily reliant on insects. I mean, they're actually omnivorous, but they go for a lot of insects. And things like termites at the moment are such an important part of the diet for so many species. And that's what we're seeing. A lot of these little guys are going for, termites that are actually wandering around on the surface of the sand now. So I always enjoy watching things when they're actually doing something. There's a chestnut-vented tit-babbler in the bush, David. Go straight in. There. Chestnut-vented tit-babbler. That gorgeous little bird there is one of the best songsters that we have at Tswalu. An incredible songster and a brilliant mimic. We've got a couple of cuckoo species here, and one of them is a Deirdrick's cuckoo, and it goes... When you hear one of those cuckoos in the middle of winter calling from the undergrowth, you can bet it's this little guy giving that call. And you can see a little chestnut vent on him as well. Wow, that was a lucky sighting. They're actually very common here, but we've got a super difficult one to see here called a Layard's tit babbler. But that's normally up in the hills, so I see them if I'm walking. Hey, how cool is that, eh? Sheesh. Koran there, the Koran disappears out there. It's just a beautiful afternoon. Another time after my time in the Bahamas, I can tell you it's just good being out here. Do we have signal? Are we on there? We're good. Oh, we're good. Oh, so we're still live. Yeah. Sheila has asked, what are the common tree species here at Tswalu? Sheila, let me drive and talk about this, because I'll actually do, if you want, if you guys are keen on it, we can actually do like a whole lot of different tree segments. We don't have anywhere near the kind of tree, in fact, plant diversity that our colleagues have in their areas. On Tswalu, our major tree species, and I would actually be including things like raisin bushes, honey thorns, those kind of things within, which many people wouldn't traditionally regard as a tree. If you're looking at, I am answering your question, but in like a long roundabout way. The traditionally accepted sense in a lot of books is like if a plant has a stem diameter of, if it has a stem diameter of 5 centimeters or more, you can class it as a tree. That's kind of vague, but anyway, we've got about 12 different species, and over the coming days, I'll actually do a couple of those for you.
Welcome back to my territory here in the marsh of the Masai Mara, in the Mara Triangle. I still have very beautiful views all surrounding me. Looks like we're having rains a long ways out there behind the plains of the Mara. We can see the Olololo Syria escarpment from a distance there. You know all about it now. And here I have two very big male buffalo. We call them Dagger Boys, or the Mud Boys. They love wallowing in mud, and it's for a good reason. biting insects and mites cannot bite through once they have a thick layer of mud. It is natural sunblock, I would, to simplify it. These guys are chewing the cud. The one to the left, they are ruminants, just like cows. So it is making sure that all it had eaten, the grass, is properly utilized. Yeah, this is a water-dependent animal. It needs to drink almost every day, the buffalo. And he is a big boy. Look at him. Look at the neck. Yeah, this is, a very fully grown bull and an animal you don't want to joke around with. Remember, they're closer, they're closest relatives to our domestic cattle. They're bovids. They have amazing, senses. And when you see them together like this, it means they've reached maturity, the age of about 6 to 8, where they break away from the main herd, form a bond where they find cover, water, and good feeding ground. And usually, because of being alone and being isolated, anything approaching them is attacked, and that's why they are known to attack without warning. Very dangerous animal. But at my distance right now, there's that safety distance. I haven't broken, the safety distance, so there's nothing to worry about. Yeah, very busy chewing the cud. Of course, although they're alone, every now and then the breeding herd will come. Mikey, you ask, I don't know if it's about how many kilos of food they eat a day. Good question. Good question. Actually, oh, thank you very much. Thank you very much. How many hours do they feed per day? According to my experience, I'll say about 6 to 8 hours, but they don't feed non-stop because they are ruminants. They have the large intestine where they feel it, and then once it's full, they will rest and regurgitate, utilize, the first stomach actually is to break it down, then they'll take it to the second stomach, and then to the third and the fourth. The reticulum, the omasum and the obasum are the last ones so that it's properly utilized. So they'll feed for about 6 to 8 hours. Rest, rest in between. Then they won't, actually feed continuously for 8 hours. They'll feed for an hour or two, rest. Then after 2 hours, feed again continuously. But they are mostly active at night. At night, they're usually very active. You can tell that these guys now are relaxing. It looks maybe they have been feeding for about an hour. This is an area perfect for them. I don't think there's many predators here because it's quite far from the plains. Every now and then, lions would come through here. It doesn't mean that they're safe because, lions would come through here every couple of days or weeks. They'll keep this bond for as long as they live. Sometimes they're joined by more. If a breeding herd joins in or moves into this area, they quickly move in and start checking for females to mate with. Usually they're much stronger and intimidating, so they have more chances of mating. If you look way back, you can see some giraffes walking away. Yeah, that is the scene I see here. It's so beautiful. The openness, makes me use my binoculars or utilize my binoculars, and I can see as far, from here. Those are giraffes. HB, you say he looks full. I think you're commenting about the buffalo. Yes, they are very, very full. They're constantly eating. That's the best thing they do over here, is just sleep, eat, sleep, eat. Remember, this is the Cape buffalo. very widespread from Eastern Central Africa all the way to Southern Africa. Their numbers are very good. We have no shortage of them. And when you see 2, it means it's an area favored by bulls because they prefer much quieter areas full of grass, cover, and less predators. Of course, you know, it takes about more than 3 lions or lionesses to bring a fully grown bull like this because it can weigh up to around 800 kilos. And usually they don't go down easy. Apart from lions, you know, young ones are preyed on by leopards and hyenas, but it's one of those animals that usually will protect one another, unlike other animals where if one is caught, the rest will flee. The buffaloes will actually come and defend one another. They have been known to, you know, to kill other predators. Look at those horns, they're so beautiful. Yeah, very different. They come in all shapes and sizes and designs. This one is totally different. Remember, that is all small compressed hairs, just like our fingernails. Inside there is bone, but that bone is protected by that keratin, and it's always being sharpened the edges by scratching bushes, digging soils on the ground. So they're actually quite sharp, and their weight, they can use it, they can use the tip really, really well. They look like they had a mutual understanding to have a break here before continuing on. At the back there, I have a male waterback, and looks like he's also very comfortable all alone. So, you know, he's continuing eating all by himself. Maybe this is the quarantine area. Looks like he's got a female. Yeah, looks like it's a civilized pair. It's a male and a female. Yeah, I'm gonna try and find out if there is more.
We found one of our special guys. We've got TDH, tall, dark and handsome. It's been a while since we saw this giraffe. He's been gallivanting far and wide in the bushveld, but we found him now feeding, just like the other giraffes, on an knobthorn tree, reaching up with his full height. This is probably the biggest, tallest and most beautiful of all the giraffes that I've ever seen in my whole life. Oh, wow, that's a long tongue he's got there. I talked about it before, 45 centimeters long, showing us what he's got. But look at the colors. Very, very dark color, very unusually dark color for a giraffe. Never seen one quite this dark before. And he's got very little pale blotches between his dark parts. So it's very, very, the whole effect makes him look much like a very strangely shaped sable, which I find quite interesting. We saw him, we've actually never seen him socializing with many other giraffes. I'm not sure what's wrong. Why he's not been seen mating that often, because we saw another giraffe mating was much more pale. And I know with lions, often the darker the mane of a lion, the more attractive supposedly it is to females, because they look more like aggressive or dominant. Maybe it's the opposite with giraffes, I don't know. I read once interesting write-up where they said that the color of a giraffe might be directly related to how much testosterone they have. So the darker it is, the more testosterone. I don't know if that's true, but look, you can see beautiful eyelashes, nice thick, strong ossicones or horns. It's using his very slender... Oh, it's going to break a whole branch. That's impressive. So you see what it did there? It actually broke the branch to try and get to some of those leaves and flower buds that were hiding behind it. Oh, it must be so sharp. The thorns are very sharp on these, I can tell you, because we often have to clear these from the roads. And those thorns, when they hook into your skin, it's very uncomfortable. But the giraffe's nose, you see how it's long and slender, so it can actually reach up in between those branches without getting too many of the thorns. And then the thick, fleshy lips also quite well protected by having thick skin from the worst of the thorns. Very amazing to watch him feeding at his full height. It's a very strong giraffe. See how thick its neck is. So a female giraffe's neck would be much, much thinner. because they don't do the fighting. This giraffe uses its weight to swing that strong neck and those thick ossicones to bash into its opponents. Very awesome to see on this very dramatic afternoon. Has anyone else ever seen a giraffe quite as dark as this? I don't know. If you have, let us know. Gemma, this is a southern giraffe. It's the only species of giraffe that we get down here in South Africa, southern giraffe. And you can see the southern giraffe has this very uniform pattern all the way up its body, from basically its knees all the way up its neck to its head, and then just the head is a slightly different color. Some of the other giraffes have very, very different colorations. Maybe if you saw them separately, you wouldn't notice, but if you compare them together, you'll notice that they're quite different. Don't ask me to... Oh, look at that, he's being strong again. Showing off. Don't ask me to describe all the other giraffes. I'm not exactly sure what they all look like. I've only seen southern giraffe before. Oh, that's amazing. Do you see that? Interesting, this giraffe's got a two-tone tongue. I've never noticed that before. I wonder if other giraffes also have a two-tone tongue. Do you see that? Just the tip of it is very dark, and the rest of it is pink, like a normal tongue, I suppose. And you can see it literally putting the tips of the branches in its mouth and then using its teeth to just rip all those little flower buds off. Oh, I've never seen a giraffe do this before. That's so cool. It's literally gripping it on with its teeth and then breaking these branches to bring them lower. That's awesome. So maybe he's not such a hit with the ladies, but he's very clever. But maybe the female giraffes are not interested in his intelligence. Look at that. So that you can see the flowers are flowering right now, and they are attracting a lot of attention from the giraffes at this time of year, but also any insects that are around. This tree is capitalizing on the fact that there's nothing else flowering to get maximum chances for pollination. So any birds and insects that are around will be focusing on these knob thorns at this time of year, and therefore the tree basically guarantees getting good pollination from all the insects and other things. That's so cool. And then you can see how we know it's a male, not only because of its size and all that, but also the tops of its ossicones, of those horns, are very smooth. Looks a bit like Friar Tuck from Robin Hood stories. I think it was in Robin Hood, actually. I can't remember. Nice and smooth ossicones from all the fighting, and all that calcium build-up on its skull, making it very knobbly and thick, protecting its brain from any damage. And when they fight, it can be very, very aggressive. Cat, you're asking me a question that I'm embarrassed to say I'm not 100% sure of. I know that they definitely have teeth in the bottom jaw because you see them all the time. Let's just have a quick look here if it opens the eyes on your mouth there. I'm pretty sure they do have teeth. Yeah, I'm pretty sure they do. I don't know. I'll have to Google. I'll have to look it up because I don't know if I've ever really paid attention to it. OD, do giraffes have teeth in the top of the jaw? I think they do, everyone. I'm pretty sure they do. We're going to have a close look here. But I'm pretty sure they use those teeth to sort of... Oh, my goodness. Maybe not, hey? Maybe it's just a pad. I know a lot of animals just have a... Whoa, look at the tongue. Well, I might not be sure if it has teeth on its top jaw, but it certainly has an incredible tongue. Look at that. Give me some time to figure that out. Wow, it's amazing. The tongue is prehensile. Look what it's doing. It's literally reaching it out and then pulling the branches down. Then it grips and then pulls again. Cat, I'm so sorry. I'm going to look it up for you to find out exactly if they do. But it certainly has teeth on the bottom. And I think, looking at the shape of its mouth, it might not actually have teeth on the side of its mouth, but at the front, I'm sure it does. I know zebras have teeth. Zebras have got teeth on the top and bottom, but at the ends. And there are no teeth between the incisors and the molars. So I'm sure it's much the same. But I'll have to find out for you. I'll get that answer to you ASAP.
What we're experiencing here is probably close to one of my favorite times of year out in the Kalahari. David and I were just chatting on the vehicle. The rainy season is almost upon us, and yet we can still be in for a long, hot, dry spell before they actually do arrive. typically end of October, going into November is when we do get our first rain. So I'm just scanning for lions. I don't trust those cats one bit. But we've actually had years, even in the time that I've been here, where the rains have only come in beginning of January. What that means is the environment that we've been seeing over the past 14 weeks now, 15 weeks with me, is the Kalahari kind of like idling along, going through winter. It's about to start showing its claws and teeth. And by that I mean we are going to be hitting, if we don't get rains, we're going to be hitting the harshest time imaginable in the Kalahari in terms of incredibly high temperatures, incredibly hot. And it's just going to get progressively worse in terms of the environment for any animals and plants, for that matter, living out here. I'm very excited to see this front that's moving in over here. There is a little bit of rain forecast for tonight. With the length of time that I've been here, I'm a big believer in I will believe there's rain when I actually see it, feel it on the ground, and I say, yeah, okay, it's now rained. When I see a forecast saying there's a 50 or 60, 70% chance, I don't hold any store in that until it actually starts raining. But this is starting to look promising, so I'm super excited about this. It'll be good if it does. Even a little bit helps.
Welcome back to andBeyond Phinda, everybody, where look who's emerged. These elephants have emerged, and on the left hand side here you'll see Craig's this elephant's calling it a day. Might have a bit of an itch, but it's gone completely flat, just having a little bit of a wallow there. You see there's a little bit of a tributary that's going further back towards where it's lying now. There's a bit of a mud wallow for that particular elephant. That's amazing. But patience has definitely paid off for us this afternoon. We could hear them the entire afternoon in the thicker areas behind this watering hole, and now they've emerged out into the open, having a bit of a drink, exfoliation. But such an unbelievable setting this afternoon. Even the Nyalas have come out to see what the fuss is all about here at this watering hole. I wonder if these elephants will chase that flamingo that you saw a little bit earlier on. If they carry on, and you'll see there 1 or 2 more elephants joining. And in this herd that we saw earlier, there's a tiny little calf. And I'm really hoping that that little calf makes an appearance as well. See now one of the matriarchs coming to join these two out of picture, with a Nyala in between her and the other two. There it is. Let's see if she is slowly but surely joining. The rest are all tucked away behind in the drainage line, having a little bit of a feed before they come out here this afternoon. But unbelievable setting, and picture this, the elephants just taking it all in. A little bit doomy and gloomy weather-wise, very overcast. But these elephants have stopped briefly to also just take it all in. They're coming behind that matriarch. I wonder if it's not that little baby that we spoke about earlier, that youngster. He's one of the little elephants that I spoke of, but there was a really minute calf in this herd. Another one that was drinking has now had its drink, and it's, listen to that. A little bit of trumpeting going on. And we were just actually saying now, with all that trumpeting, when we found the elephants, they were all at the back, running all over the show, quite sort of stressed. And I think that one of these females is in estrus, because there are a lot of elephant bulls that are also following them, pacing up and down, and it was actually quite chaotic. So peace has been restored somewhat here for the afternoon for now, as they all come down to the watering hole. But it's so lovely to see them out in the open, and here they're almost dwarfed by the setting, which is really special. Mama, you're asking if those two elephants are twins. They are not twins, no. The two that are closest to us in picture now are not. They're both females. But they are not twins. You can see it's got a little bit more of a square forehead, that one that's coming up, that female, in picture now as it passes that little bit of a stream. And then the one on the very far left had a little bit more of a rounded forehead. That's one way of differentiating between male and female. But there's that little, I'm not convinced it's the youngster that we saw earlier, but one of the youngsters at the back left of your picture coming down to the water now as well. You might have a couple of birds photo bombing the shot there. All of those white-breasted cormorants that have come back now to roost for the evening. But just listen to how quiet they are, these elephants, as they walk. They're, for such large creatures, incredibly quiet. Stop every so often. You see how that they'll sniff the ground, maybe they lift their trunks. A slight breeze blowing with the wind on our backs blowing towards them. They might lift their trunks and smell us. But such majestic creatures as well, as they all strung out in a line. You'll see that one that's just leaving the picture now has that collar around her neck, one of the matriarchs. That's purely for research purposes, so we can monitor their movements on this reserve. If we acquire new land, it's very fascinating to watch and see how long they spend in there and where they go.
Yeah, and welcome back. Of course, they are gentle giants, and I have my own here in the Mara, and they are at the beginning of the mash. This is totally a different herd. Lots of young ones, so it looks like a very good breeding herd. Yeah, they're amazing elephants. They are very intelligent. They have, long memories. They can remember one another, and they mourn. They show feelings, emotions. Apart from that, is that this herd here looks very, very happy. There is about maybe 12, 13, 14, 15, something like that, all spread out within an area. Definitely there is something they are picking. You can look and think that there isn't much, but I am sure they are here for a reason, very much like we do. I believe they have cravings for certain things, and this is not much, but they know it is helpful and they need it for their body, and that's why the female has brought them here. I would say the matriarch is the one to the left there with the beautiful long horns. She looks very matured. Remember that elephants are matriarchal society, where females are the leaders, together with the orcas, hyenas, wild dogs. Those are animals that are led by females. They're called the alpha females. Of course, here she carries, a lot of knowledge, experience, and wisdom over the years that she has lived, and it is essential for every member of the family to get it while she's still alive, and so she takes them to places that they can remember, and only for a specific reason. Over here, like I said, Dick, you say that they have thinner tusks in the Mara. I would say they differ. they differ. Look at that female, you can tell she's got slightly thicker, but shorter. The other one had, actually thinner and longer. But we have a very, bulls with very, very thick, horns or tusks, you'd call them. We have them, and they are very few. Unlike, when we used to see them earlier in the years, 70s, 60s, but we still have a very good number of bulls with amazing tusks. So they differ, you might be seeing this and think all of them are like this, but no. We sometimes come across females and males with long and thick tusks, so they're different, very much like we do. Some people have got certain things that others don't have, like, you go bald quicker than the other. Yeah, and looks like they're really enjoying whatever they're eating here. I can't blame them. I can't see what it is, but definitely they are here for a reason. The little guy looks like he hasn't learned how to use his trunk yet, so he's just playing around with a little log there.
Following tall, dark and handsome a little bit down the drainage line is feeding on another tree wisteria. It's not a very palatable tree, but anyway, what I wanted to let you know, cat, I think it was, cat, they don't have teeth at the front of their top jaw. They do not. They've got teeth on the bottom jaw at the front, incisors, but not on the top. That's why it's got that very slender shape, and that's what allows it to be able to reach up amongst the thorny branches without getting itself hurt. Look how well camouflaged it is. It's invisible. It's being the tree right now. They say you are what you eat. So, I don't know why. Okay. Keep it together, Mike. So it does not have teeth on the top of its jaw. It's very interesting. I never really noticed that before. But now when I think about it, it makes so much sense. So they just literally grip the ends of their branches with their fleshy lips and the teeth on the bottom jaw, and then strip the food off there. Look when it opens its mouth. Oh, we got a good angle here. Let's see if it does it again. You'll literally be able to see just that sort of fleshy pad. Man, I can't get over that tongue. This one is really showing off. That's amazing. Look at it. Wow. So there was another question a while back that I remember I didn't answer ages ago about whether giraffes get post-nasal drip. And I thought it was a very odd question, a very interesting question. And I couldn't answer it because I didn't know. And then I did a bit of research, and the giraffe's long tongue is also used to clean its own nose, which might sound a bit weird, but it's so long and very prehensile, meaning it's can be completely controlled by muscle movements. They can literally reach it inside their own nose to clean their nose. So it gives a whole new meaning to blowing your nose, right? It's amazing how well they can blend in, with the very pale sticks and the dark bark, especially after a bit of rain that we had. They blend in so well. Imagine if this giraffe stood very, very still amongst those branches. It would blend in so well. We wouldn't be able to see it. It's how it's able to avoid detection from predators. Being so tall, they can see very, very far away, and they've got great sense of hearing and eyesight, and a sense of smell, actually. And they can literally, when they spot danger, stand dead still and avoid being spotted, which is very clever. Suzanne, completely agree. It's literally the tallest, darkest, and handsomest of all the giraffes that I've ever seen before. I mean, if I was a lady giraffe, this would be the man for me. Oh, that's such an odd thing to say. I really need to stop saying weird stuff like that. Look at, there's a drongo that's just landed there now. Do you see that? Just amongst the bushes and trees, there's a drongo, which is hoping to catch any insects disturbed by this giraffe's feeding. Very difficult because behind all the branches, but you'll see it fly in a moment, I'm sure, as the giraffe disturbs things. So remember, it's the springtime. Technically today, I've just learned, is the first day of spring. So we should start finding, if it warms up, lots of there because the drongo, lots of insects starting to emerge after this little bit of rain, hatching out of the eggs that have been laid in the soil and in the bark and under the litter of the leaf litter. Oh, watch this. The giraffe's going to use its teeth to break this branch and bring it closer. This is going to be awesome. Oh, never mind. This one was a bit too strong. Or did it hear something? I wonder. See, the wind, the big gust of wind has just arrived. You can see the branches all moving. So the giraffe is stopped now. See, like most animals, when the wind blows, their senses are very, very much reduced. So when the wind is blowing, they need to use their eyesight more than anything else to detect danger. So as soon as that gust came past, the giraffe stopped and listened. But look at this, look at this. Used its tongue, brought the branch down, and now it's literally, oh, it's a bit too strong, I think. I think the branch is a bit too strong for it. He's going to try again. Watch this. Brings it down. Oh, he's chose a smaller one. Clever. I've never seen this behavior from a giraffe before. It's so clever. I suppose the whole winter they've been feeding on these low branches and getting rid of all the leaves. But now that the flowers are starting to come through, it's just adding a whole bunch of new stuff for them to feed on. It's quite clever watching animals adapt to different foods at different times of the year. We've watched elephants literally targeting different trees. Now, we've noticed over the last month or so a lot of apple leaf trees being pushed over by elephants. Now, these trees are not palatable at all, but elephants seem to be targeting them at the moment because it's basically the last tree left with anything green on it. TDH is being very, very active on such a cold day. Most of the other animals we've seen have been mostly just hunkering down and trying not to move very much. But I suppose it's been like this, windy and cold, for about 3 days now, and you can't hunker down and not eat for 3 days, so eventually at some point they just have to start getting on with life. Oh, the dark fur of this giraffe really accentuates those white ears like flags. I've mentioned it before, I think they use them a lot in their communication. Remember, giraffes don't really vocalize that much. We were talking about it earlier, and the only sound I've ever heard a giraffe make is a slight exhalation, a little bit of breath coming out of its mouth. It was almost like it was trying to shoo. It always does it whenever I see a leopard and a giraffe. The giraffe always makes this little, like, sort of a whistle almost, but just like if someone was telling you to shush. So the white on the back of the ears, how they can communicate without vocalizing. Very, very interesting. I'd love to learn more about it.
Welcome back, everybody, to andBeyond Phinda, where there's a herd of elephants, one by one, have slowly come down to drink. There's still a couple further back in the woodlands behind. You can just see how there's snapping and breaking of branches every so often, and they eventually emerge, come down, have a drink, and then carry on. All crossing the road in a distance behind us, quite a way behind us, but have a look now. It was quite interesting to, competing with some hardy-dars here in the background, to see how they shift that initial bit of water with their trunk and then start sucking up. And if you hear it, it sounds like them slurping through a straw before they put that in their mouths. And it's just, clearing the surface of the water of any maybe debris and things like that it doesn't really want to drink. And then it will transfer that into its mouth. See now, there was one that came out and then went back into the woodlands, so I wonder if it won't come back around again. A couple more coming from the distance further off to our left, every so often as well. See now, as we get a closer view of them, they all just crossing that open area at the back of this watering hole and then heading straight back to the woodlands to carry on feeding. Still one or two more of them out in the open. And not a breath of wind this afternoon. It's actually such a pleasant evening, even though it is overcast, to have these elephants out in the open, because we had to wait very patiently for them to emerge. To have them out in the open, hippos starting to get a little bit more vocal this evening. Everything's just coming alive here around this watering hole. Still the odd trumpet and rumble, another one, this one here on the right coming back for a little bit more to drink. I see that trunk at full stretch as it drink there, that concertina effect, but it's quite interesting. It sucks up all that water and then walks away to drink it. It looks like a relatively young elephant bull, maybe a little bit more wary of these hippos in the water. You see that little bit of a head shake now as well. Maybe upset with these hippos who are fast asleep just off to the left-hand side of us. But maybe just a little bit more cautious because of the hippo takes a drink or a sip of water and then disappears to drink it. Putting on a little bit of a show, this one for us this afternoon. The rest have all disappeared, walking back behind us into the other end of the watering hole. I'm sure they'll continue to feed throughout the night this evening, and then again tomorrow morning only come back to a spot like this for a drink of water. Joel, you asking if elephants get cold in this chilly weather? They've got such a thick skin that I don't think so. Like I said, that really thick skin, very protected from the elements, and unless it's raining, perhaps, and it is overcast like today, then they might. But I've only ever seen elephants, at least here in Phinda, swim in weather like this when it's overcast and sometimes even raining. They'll swim. But not really here. They don't get cold. They keep themselves quite healthy in cooler climates.
Welcome back to this side of the world, and it's a beautiful time of day. I'm still in the Mara Triangle, trying to see if I can find something different. I've been finding all the grazers and browsers. Hopefully I will find a cat before I lose the last light. Of course, we have a beautiful sunset over there, and looks like it's raining somewhere in Tanzania. That's towards Tanzania. That's south, and it's much needed because over there they had burnt a part of the northern Serengeti, so it's needed for the regrow of the grass. This is a good area to find some predators, so I'm gonna try and find some here. Somebody saw them this morning and directed me here, so I don't know if I'm gonna find them. Send me all those positive vibes so I can find them. I don't know if they're around here. I'm hoping to find them before we lose light. Let's try and find out. Already my ranger has spotted them somewhere around here. Oh, over there. I see them. Yes. 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 I've got some lion, finally. I don't know who they are. Yeah. I don't know who are these, but let's find out. It's an added bonus. I didn't think I would see lion this evening. Looks like a pair I had yesterday. Yeah, looks like it. The one behind there, you'll be seeing him shortly in the frame, is a male with a very scruffy mane, and then the one in front is a female, fully grown, of the Owino Pride. This is, what did you hear? Definitely there was something. These guys have got very keen sense of hearing, so whatever they had might be even 2 kilometers away, which I could not hear, but definitely they picked up something really quickly. They all face into that direction. It looks like they haven't eaten something since I saw them yesterday morning, and they could be going for something tonight. They are part of a bigger pride, but we only have 2 over here. This is what they do best, sleeping and resting, but they do work for their food. Always nice to see lion, because it's a super predator. Chantal, thank you for your comment. I hope you're okay. You say they're so beautiful. Yes, they are very beautiful. And you want to stop there. They're so beautiful, but you don't want to go close to them or touch them, but very dangerous. Yeah, this is an animal naturally and purely born for the kill. It will kill for no reason. That's where it finds all the fun. It's from killing. And a lioness fully grown like this can kill an animal 3 times its weight. They're very, very strong. Look at those amber color eyes, very sharp. Yeah, I don't know if it's a mating pair. I cannot say anything, but usually when you see a female separated away from the rest of the pride together with a male, it means either they're mating or she's coming into season, so the male is staying very close to her. It is normal for them to stick together because the male becomes very, very, very protective. Another male approaching, you know, it could be a very serious fight. And mating takes place up to 7 days every day. And of the 7 days mating, about 4 cubs will be born after a gestation period of 3.5 months. They're born blind. They open their eyes at the age of 14 days, 14 to 20. Yeah, and here, you know, they live for about 12 to 15 years, lions. It's tough being out here with all the elements, weather, fighting, starvation. They face lots and lots of things. They look very sleepy. It's typical of lion. They know how to rest. Remember, this is live. It's coming from the Masai Mara. Comments and questions are very welcome through hashtag WildEarth. Yeah, we're losing light, but it's still very beautiful. It's so quiet here, and looks like the moon is coming out. So we're gonna have, I think it's a full moon tomorrow, maybe. So it's going to be a beautiful night. I'm just gonna sit here and wait. Shali, you ask what is their age? The male at the back there, I would give him a good about 5 years, and the female, she looks much older. I would give her about 7 years. She's slightly older. And definitely they are not from, you know, they are not related, and that's why they are together. Looks, I don't know, nobody has seen them do, you know, mating, but looks to me like it's a mating pair. And usually when they're mating, it's very intense in the first few days, Hopefully you have enough time. I'm going to sit here and see if they are going to do it. During, when they're mating, they normally don't eat as much unless something passes by. Then HH, is it not too young to be mating? I don't think so. At 5, I think he's mature. If he stands up, you'll see his body size is fully grown. It's only that he doesn't have a fully grown male. Here, because of the habitat and the abundance of food, they get very big almost at the age of 4.5, heading to 5. And this guy is just, I'd say, 5 and above. 5 and a few months, would say, he's big enough. He's quite big. I'm hoping that, he can stand up, HH, so you can see his size. The grass they're on is what the wildebeest come to feed on during this time of the year, during the migration. They have been here once, and we are expecting them to come back for second round. Lions are facing lots of threats all over in Africa. One of the main threats is human-wildlife conflict, habitat loss, and then there's a new trade of their products being believed to, carry medicinal purposes, and that is the other one that's fueling their extinction. Although it is not seen very much here, but they are facing a serious threat in the coming years. Competition is another one, but they know how to balance that one. The ones that are caused by humans are the main threats. In the Mara, the population is very high. I cannot tell you. It's not. I would say it's comfortable. It's not very high. It's comfortable. And they're actually even doing better now that there is enough protection from the Conservancy. So we're not complaining. We're doing very, very well with our lions.
This has got to be one of the most gorgeous afternoons I've had out here in at least the past week. No, this... oh, sorry, I wasn't here the past week. I remember now. I was in the Bahamas. But what incredible weather we are having out here. It is becoming stormier. Every cloud is a silver lining. There's the old adage. And it is absolutely portrayed perfectly in those cumulus clouds developing over there. So what's interesting, remember we were chatting earlier about grasslands and fires. So our key ignition source on Tswalu, in fact in the Kalahari, this region, for fires is lightning. This time of year when you've got incredibly dry vegetation, you haven't had rain yet, or maybe at best you get the odd spatter of, a couple of drops here and there, but no rain to speak of really. Lightning is a very, very, very real phenomena out here, and your fires aren't bad out here. It's just they are what they are. But it's just so cool to see this weather. It's just absolutely gorgeous. Jenna says the sky is stunning. Oh, totally. David and I were saying, David's got to be here. In fact, you've all got to be here. Not all of you, but all of you. You know what I mean. Have got to be here when the storms start rolling in. Because you'll be standing up on high ground like this. As far as you can see, every single direction will be lightning and like these peals of thunder rolling across this landscape. It is one of the most dramatic places that I've ever been in my life in terms of storms, excluding the Bahamas. That's also pretty cool. Just out of interest, there's also very fresh lion tracks that have come across here, but I'm not worried about lions. I know our colleagues are seeing wax and wax of really good cat sightings, so Oh, we had spotted eagle owls now as well. Unfortunately, we are struggling with some tech challenges, let's put it that way. And we have spotted eagle owls on a nest now. But unfortunately, we used to have signal there, we don't now, but we are working on that, so have no fear. We'll keep tabs on that nest over the coming weeks, and maybe we can see some spotted eagle owl chicks for you. But what an afternoon, eh? Yep. I like what I do. But let's head on.
Well, welcome back. My lions are still in the same position. Nothing much has happened, but definitely there is something going on in their minds. I cannot say anything. All I can do is sit here and hopefully, I can pick up what they're doing. Remember, sometimes when times are tough and a meal is hard to come across, some prides will split and form smaller prides of one or two or three, and so whatever they find within their territory is enough for them to eat, because competition can be very high, and especially when big fully grown males are involved. If the females kill something small, they're always taking it, so they end up splitting into smaller prides where whatever they kill is enough for them. Remember, once eaten a good meal, which is around 40 kilograms of meat, they will go for a very long time without eating. This male and female's territory stretches from where I am and follows the escarpment all the way to a place we call Kilo 2, and it's just above the main road that goes from one side of the Mara to the other. Of course, if you have a map, it's very easy to pick up. It's a very huge area, and usually they know where to be depending on the time of the year. This is a very good area because there is cover, so definitely there are those nocturnal antelopes, that bushbuck that will come out. Eland might be found here, buffalo, warthogs early in the morning. So it's a prime estate. Every lion's wish to be here. Remember to talk to me again, once again, #WildEarth. Questions and comments are very, very welcome. Keep the conversation going, keep the fire burning. Yeah, very fast asleep. They are making me sleepy a little bit. I wish they would, wake up and do something, but I'm afraid there's nothing I can do, and this is all about nature. You cannot interfere. You just leave it to do, or to happen wherever wherever it wants to happen. Look at their colors. If you look at the grass and look at the color, it's a very good camouflage. I actually drove past them until my ranger, who I have at the back, told me, there's something there moving in the grass. Otherwise, I would have driven past them. If you don't know what you're looking for, it's very easy to drive past them. And that's why, I believe sometimes when you're driving through the Mara, in these tall grasses, sometimes you just drive past 10 lions without noticing and go back and say, I didn't see any lion, but they were right there. It's only that they were well hidden in the grass. What are you two guys up to? You're just resting there? Priskal, was that the name? Sorry, I didn't get the name. But you ask if they need shelter in the rain. No, they don't. Most animals don't, apart from primates, are slightly smarter. They would find rocky areas that have got cover. They would use branches to cover. Those are primates. Lions don't, and all other animals don't. They just lie there with their noses and heads down, hoping for the rain to pass. Some areas or some lions, if they haven't eaten and there's something that they can go for, will just utilize the rain to make a hunt, because it can be very successful, because most animals stand still, facing away from the rain, and usually the smell is concealed, so they can easily stalk, so they don't find shade. What did you hear? Yeah, they don't find cover, they just stand there in the rain or lie down. It's actually very interesting because they look a little bit miserable, they don't look very comfortable. Yeah, definitely she's hearing something. Either it's hippos fighting down in the river or something else. And now she looked at the vehicle. Oh, yes, definitely there is something. Yeah. Yeah, they can hear something. I cannot hear it, but they can hear something.
Welcome back to andBeyond Phinda, everybody, where we've caught up with that pride of lions that we were with earlier. These lions, it's more the youngsters than anyone else, are a little bit more awake than the more experienced females, who, as you can see, lying in picture, are like spatchcock chickens with their legs in the air, resting those full bellies off. They've found very comfortable positions as they lie like that. The youngsters, you can see one or two of them with their heads up every so often, just a sign of age really. Keep looking around. There are all sorts of, we heard a spotted eagle owl just now calling. They're all just still taking in the sights and sounds of the evening before darkness falls. Another one of the youngsters at the back. Full bellies, I can't imagine them to go very far this evening. No real need to. If anything, for the older lionesses, bit of a drink of water down below at that watering hole. It's one of that's quite cute, that little bit of a stretch there from that youngster. He's peering down into the drainage line below before he slunkers back into sleep. But now the rest of them, you can just see those black tips behind their ears. It's amazing how much that white on their underbellies and their legs sticks out now as they lie like that, their legs in the air. But the ones closest to us lying on their tummies with its head down, very, very well camouflaged. You see that there. Just those black tips behind his ears. Really, really well camouflaged. This evening, yeah, I don't think these lions are going anywhere anytime soon. It'll be interesting to see where they end up tomorrow morning. But I might just let them rest the evening away in peace. But it's amazing how quickly things can change. Like with Isaac, those two maybe heard something or saw something now. The youngsters have now heard something that's got their attention. The one slightly further up, you see those ears pricked up, listening dead ahead of it. Obviously heard something that we didn't, that caught its attention. But I'll probably let these lions continue sleeping peacefully this evening. And like I said, interesting to see where they move tomorrow. But also anything can change. Yeah, they're those Ngala that Craig saw earlier on in the day that could very well walk past this area. And yeah, in the drop of a hat, these lionesses could get up and could get into hunt and stalk mode. Liz, you're asking how long lions sleep for. They actually sleep for the majority of the day, for almost up to 20 hours a day. So this is what you seeing in your picture now as typical lion behavior. I can't imagine a warthog between the 8 of these lions here would go very far, but they've all got something in their bellies. The youngsters had a bit of a suckle earlier, so all quite content. And yeah, the only real reason for them to move again would be to hunt. But with 5 growing youngsters to feed, they have to obviously hunt quite regularly. So maybe tomorrow morning, again, they'll move. But typical lions, as you see, now fast asleep. Youngsters proving me wrong now, doing a little bit of grooming with that very rough tongue of it. Might have ticks and things like that they're actually able to scrape off with those tongues, so that's why you'll see them groom each other and groom themselves after a bit of a feed. They were all quite interested in the tails of the moms earlier, but as that tail flick now that you saw lying in the middle of your picture, no one's really fazed by it at all. We were with those elephants earlier, actually not too far away from where we are now, and the area that they're in is also really good areas for these elephants to stick on. If tomorrow's a warmer day, it offers quite a bit of protection and shade down in the drainage lines. Could come past here and encourage these elephants to move more than what they are now. A couple of look like African spoonbills that flew overhead. That's what's caught the attention of these youngsters who are doing a little bit of bird watching this evening as they fly overhead. I love those little black spots behind their ears. And those, together with the tip of mom's tail, that black tip of her tail, you can imagine when a couple more yellowbilled storks flying overhead, you'll see them all twitching. Oh, there's another. They obviously enjoy it too. When these youngsters were a lot smaller and couldn't see above this long grass, they actually use those as follow me signs with their moms as they walk through. Actually quite a nice picture.
How incredibly stunning is this setting that we're seeing here. I actually feel bad because, okay, so we go live and you're kind of like obliged to say something half intelligent. And what can I even say that can do that scene justice? Nothing. That's the kind of thing that Michelangelos of the world are destined to try describe to people, because it's not for me. That is just way beyond what I'm capable of expressing. Just this entire landscape, the vastness of it, the drama, the mystery, the intrigue, and the absolute ancient time that we're talking about that's carved these landscapes. Thank you, Alyssa. Alyssa says that's a beautiful sight. Yeah. Like I say, I'm at a loss for words. Beautiful is kind of like borderline.
Welcome back. I just had a session of roaring by the female. Hopefully she will do it again so I can share it with you. There is nothing like a lion roar. Everything stops around where she roars or he roars. It's so loud. It's unbelievable. It's one of the best things, that yon. Yeah, that you can have, close to a lion. The sign of leoning, she might be She might be thinking of moving on. Yeah, this male, I think, is part of this pride. She could be too young to mate with the lioness, and that's why the lioness is not actually, allowing her. But she's interested. Could be her sister. Yeah. Minamu, you ask if they met during, heavy rains. I don't know. That is a very good question. I don't know. They're usually very serious during mating, but I've never witnessed, and actually I've never had any of my colleagues or friends, talk about lions mating, in the rain. I will find out for you, Minamu, or maybe you could ask one of our other guides in Southern Africa to, maybe he might have an answer of, if they met during rain. Will we have a movement soon? I don't know. I don't know. I'm just waiting to see if they are going to get up and move, because the female showed sign of wanting to move on. That roar she delivered while you were away, another yawn, beautiful, was to contact the other members of the pride. So hopefully, they've heard and they'll head this way. So tomorrow, we might find her with the rest of the pride. It's quite dark. It's only that we have, yeah, we have a good camera. That's why, you can see that, but it's quite dark now. It's getting dark, and it's going to be a very bright night. Oh, she's getting up. I'm gonna see, is she gonna stretch? Yeah, she has to be careful so that there is nothing close that she can spook. A little bit of scratch, always important. Yeah, the male, I think, is going to follow suit. I don't know where they're going. Yeah, the male, I think, the male will follow soon. I think his mane in another 2 years might be better than now, and he will be, he'll be much more welcome to mate with the females. Right now he's still too young, maybe, and he's not accepted. But if he pushes on, he might be allowed to mate. But we might, to say it, it will happen when it happens. You can tell that, the male is staying very alert, so the female doesn't disappear. Yes, I'm talking about you. Yeah, yawn. Yeah, he might be moving soon or later. He's a beautiful young guy. This is the guy who has formed a coalition with the other guy from, this Owino Pride, after his brother was killed last year in a fight. He needed a partner, and so, even though he's too young, he took him under his shoulder, knowing that they might have a longer reign when he's got a younger one, which means he's got protection when he gets older. Alalasha, the other male. Yeah, I don't know where she is. She's over there. She's walking towards the road. Yeah, she's gonna roar. Can you hear that? Now she just called and then stopped. She's listening. I don't know if there was an answer. See how focused those ears are. Yeah. Where are you going? Are you going to find water? She's calling. Yeah, roar. sorry, she was roaring. I was listening to that. You see, there's a comment, but I didn't hear it. Yeah, the male has just stood up, and now he's following. You can tell he's a big boy. He's a biggie. It's... Okay, I'm gonna move closer to them so that we can have a better view, because it's really getting dark. We can't see them from where I am, so I have to move closer. It's rather bumpy. I have to be careful where I'm driving, so I drive on them. Where are they? Yes, I can see them now. I don't see the female, but I see the male. Yeah, he's over there in the dark. I don't know if we'll be able to see him. Well, it looks like it's come towards the end of the show. On behalf of my colleagues in Southern Africa, my cameraman Big James, my colleagues, and from me myself, all I can tell you is bye-bye and see you tomorrow morning. Don't forget, we'll have a very early one. Bye-bye.
This program features live coverage of an African safari and may include animal kills and carcasses. Viewer discretion is advised.